You walk around this building and everyone is so supportive and so excited about what is happening with the Fever.
A statement made in Indianapolis is a topic of continual discussion within the basketball community. Finally, the Fever's general manager, Amber Cox, stood up. Her comments on Caitlin Clark also went beyond the corporate press release. It was straightforward, honest, and packed with information that paints a picture that the majority of fans have never seen. There is more to the reality about what's truly going on inside than what you've read in a headline. Hold on tight, for this is a multi-layered narrative that will change your perspective of the Caitlin Clark era in Indiana. Before we even talk about what Cox said, let's go back to the genesis of this whole affair. As Caitlin Clark, the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, left the stage, the basketball community was already aware that records were being broken at the University of Iowa. Millions of spectators watched and bought tickets for the most well-known athlete in women's sports history. And buying shirts. Rather than just choosing a player, the Fever was controlling a movement. Expectations, criticism, and pressure that most franchises never experienced came along with that movement. The front desk staff was aware of this, but there is a significant gap between theoretical comprehension and practical application. And truly going through it. Caitlin Clark had a fantastic first season in 2024, leading the league with 8.4. She led a Fever squad that had started the first and eighth games, averaging 19.2 points and assists per game. Seasons into the postseason, she was chosen to the WNBA's first team and won Rookie of the Year. She also set records for viewership, ticket sales, and jersey sales. Just jersey sales for the Fever climbed by 1,193%. Entire venues were packed out when Indiana came, and primetime spots were being freed. Television networks. It was a first for women's basketball. Amidst all of this chaos, tucked away in the locker room, was a young man, 22, trying to learn how to run a professional club while taking on the responsibility of an entire sport. Caitlin Clark, but then something unforeseen happened, and everything was in jeopardy of disintegrating. Everything was supposed to come together for the 2025 campaign. The new coach, Stephanie White, brought in experienced, modified their attacking strategy, and increased the number of players on the roster. Expectations were high, but the injury bug started to bite on almost the first day of the season. Caitlin Clark also sustained a left quad injury in May. A left groin injury happened in June. Before the wound even healed, she sustained a right groin injury on July 15th, just as she was approaching to making a comeback, and that one marked the end of it all. She was spotted wearing street clothes on the sidelines following the game. There were loud critiques. Supporters were agitated. Rumors about her health appeared on every possible forum. There was a lot of communication between the team and the actual circumstances at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. In addition, there was social media. Post on September 4th that stopped people in the basketball world from scrolling. Caitlin Clark confirmed that she was completed for the year. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling, she remarked. She had only played in 13 games before the end of the season, but nobody was paying enough attention at the time to this. The Fever's general manager was going to say something much more important. Amber Cox didn't sugarcoat the reality as she took the microphone, making it very clear that no one worked harder than Caitlin Clark, who had complied with every request made of her in order to return to that court. No one wanted to be on the court more than Caitlin, an executive protecting the brand, Cox stated in exit interviews with the crew. Wouldn't say those things. Those are the remarks of someone who has witnessed a player's everyday struggles with rehabilitation, foundation, and fail for no fault of her own. According to Cox's official written statement, Clark worked out for hours each day in an attempt to return, but there wasn't enough time left in the season for her to. She went on, the organization decided to shut her down because she could safely return. Amber Cox made it clear that long-term health always wins out over a risky comeback. But Cox's most stunning statement was unrelated to the injuries. Things start to become intriguing when it comes to the future. Cox did not back down when reporters asked her about the future. She avoided using unclear words when talking about possibilities or possibilities. She looked them in the eye and said she thought that when Caitlin Clark came back in 2026, they would watch her achieve a new level. "I think we're going to see another level," Cox said. "It's unthinkable to even consider." Consider for a moment that this superstar averaged 16.5 points and 8.8 assists per contest in just 13 games during a season marred by injuries in 2025. He was chosen for the All-Star team for the second consecutive year. Squad. Despite playing a small amount of the season, she dominated the public discussion over women's basketball, and the team manager says she hasn't even touched a brand new piece of equipment yet. This is not a publicity stunt. The WNBA as a whole should take. Not only did Caitlin Clark's talent help Amber Cox's confidence, though, but she also revealed another of how Clark managed her time on the sidelines. This is the element of the story that distinguishes Clark from the group. When they are injured and unable to participate, most great athletes go dark. Occasionally, you may see them at events. They wave to the audience before disappearing into the training area. Caitlin Clark did not do that. And when she was sidelined due to an injury, Clark was on that plane for every road trip the Fever took. Every game, she was on the bench, speaking up and supporting teammates in real time. Engaged and concentrated. At a time when the majority of players would have discreetly accepted a smaller position. Cox described her as an excellent colleague and leader. In a podcast interview, Kelsey Mitchell, who achieved a career-high score of 20. While Caitlin Clark was absent, he took up the offensive load and scored 2 points each game, acknowledging the rage surrounding Clark's timing, but emphasized that it was always ideal to get her back at 100%. Kelsey Mitchell said, "I've had 11 operations, so I've had a lot of injuries. Having that perspective offers a fresh perspective." Clark's influence was altering the way this squad operated, even though he was crippled. And it wasn't a coincidence. The more you look into the Fever's locker room, the more you see that they have true chemistry is a characteristic that no front office can match. The close-knit team of Clark, Lexi Hull, and teammates talked about Sophie Cunningham, also referred to as the Trace Leches. Even as they observed from the bench, players discussed Clark's pregame routines with Aaliyah Boston. Kelly Krauskopf, the Fever's president, said that before the 2025 season began, the youthful core had made one specific request. When asked about the culture, they said they didn't want the front office to chase a major star signing. They wanted their locker area to be secure. Protecting the culture we've established was exactly what the players remarked. "You see, that is the rhetoric of a group, not the language of a team that is internally disintegrating. That knows what they have and doesn't want it interfered with, but not everyone has been ready to recognize them." And before it had a chance to breathe, the scandal surrounding this locker room. If you were watching the WNBA, you remember when Cheryl Swoops lit a match on Gil's Arena. The Hall of Famer claimed that there was serious strife within the Indiana Fever organization in late 2024, and said that players were uncomfortable with Caitlin Clark's attention. "There are a lot of other things going on," Swoops said. "On that, players are like, this ain't where I want to be." The claim swiftly gained popularity over the internet. It was one of the most talked about stories in women's basketball for weeks, complete with screenshots. There was just one problem. Cheryl Swoops admitted she wasn't in the locker room when asked about the specifics. No evidence was found. No athlete co-signed the narrative. In April 2025, while sitting with Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird on a separate, Caitlin Clark directly addressed the rumors during the March Madness broadcast without holding back. She acknowledged that people always recognized that the only individuals who really understood the reality were those who worked at that facility. Assume they are aware of what goes on behind closed doors. She implied that the commotion was primarily about those who were succeeding. Then, in 2025, the Indiana Fever's on court. Think about what Indiana accomplished. A performance without their hero screamed louder than any press conference. Without Caitlin Clark in the starting lineup for the whole season. For the first time in the team's history, They defeated the Atlanta Dream in the first round of the playoffs and won the WNBA Commissioner's Cup. In the semifinals, they faced one of the most illustrious players in the WNBA in a winner-take-all Game 5. Teams, the Las Vegas Aces, before succumbing in overtime. They were only one win away from traveling for the first time to the WNBA Finals in over a decade. Without their most important player, Clark was yelling encouragement, distributing defensive assignments and applauding each basket on every bench and sidelines as though she had made it herself. Amber Cox's evaluation of her leadership wasn't only complimentary, it was accurate. Despite Clark's inability to demonstrate the numbers, results, and spirit of that run, along with her ferocity on the floor, all indicated a franchise that had internalized. Amber Cox and the Indiana Fever are striving for a possible championship, so this is when things start to get serious. Dynasty in 2026 as opposed to merely a season of recovery. The entire off-season was compressed into a few weeks because of the lengthy negotiations between the Players' Union and the WNBA, which took over a year before an early settlement. 2026. Two new teams, the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo, had their league rosters changed through expansion drafts. Despite the Fever losing 2 players, Cox maintained composure. From the end of the season to, her message stayed the same with every roster change that followed, keeping Kelsey Mitchell feverish. Their first goal is uniform. Cox told reporters, "I'm going to sound like a broken record from last year. The main priority will be to keep Kelsey Mitchell in a Fever jersey, with Mitchell back in the mix, along with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston." Going into the upcoming season, Indiana has the makings of the most complete core in the league thanks to contracts already in place. Even so, the basketball community didn't react negatively to the headline. Amber Cox was thrilled when Basketball Night in America included Caitlin Clark as a special contributor with celebrities including Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. Cox wrote on social media, "This will be highly entertaining and insightful. Tuck CC comes easily to me." NBC senior producer Sam Flood described Clark as the finest renowned figure in basketball, not collegiate or women's basketball. Quit. Clark is now working on that platform even before the May 8th start of the 2026 WNBA season. In addition, when asked if the Fever had any chance of winning the championship, Clark answered right away. She said, "I think we're going to be the favorite to win it all on that NBC platform. It adds a little pressure. I think that's what you like about it though. Our squad, coach, and support staff are all very good. I'm thrilled because that person's reaction wasn't influenced by the media. They watched the entire season from the sidelines. She had been stewing in want and building in silence, and now she was ready to let go of everything she had been concealing." And Cox's confidence in that Caitlin Clark's appearance. The remainder of the WNBA discovers this makes the whole scenario problematic. When you stand back and look at it clearly, this is what the complete picture looks like. Reveals that Amber Cox didn't just speak up to calm her followers' fears or address the bad press. After a dismal season, she spoke up because she has personally witnessed this player's ability to handle the rumors and controversies, endure the chaos of the spotlight, and maintain harmony in the locker room. When wounds came from all directions, and came out of the ordeal more certain than ever that Caitlin. The coach has said that Clark hasn't yet realized her full potential, as the teammates have seen. The general manager has confirmed this. Now, as the squad prepares for the 2026 season with a larger roster, real desire, and a whole year of adversity to refine them into something riskier and more difficult. Whether the remainder of the WNBA is. The only remaining question is whether or not the version of Caitlin is truly prepared for what is about to happen. If Amber Cox is right, the Clark that shows up in May 2026 won't look like anything the league has ever seen. As the evidence suggests, teams that have been dubious about this club over the past year might want to give it significant thought. If they are prepared for what it actually involves. The basketball community is unable to put an end to a remark that was made in Indianapolis. The Fever's general manager, Amber Cox, finally spoke up. Moreover, her comments regarding Caitlin Clark went beyond a corporate news release. It was straightforward, honest, and packed with information that painted a picture that most fans have never seen. There is more to the reality about what's truly going on inside than what you've read in a headline. Hold on, for this is a multi-layered tale that will change the way you think about Indiana during the Caitlin Clark era. Before we even talk about what Cox stated, let's go back to the genesis of this whole problem. Nobody could have guessed what would take place as Caitlin Clark, the 2024 WNBA draft's top overall pick, left the stage. The basketball community was already aware. The most well-known athlete in the history of women's sports, who broke attendance records at. Millions of people were buying tickets and jerseys in Iowa as a result of the fever, instead of just choosing a player. This shift brought with it the pressure, scrutiny, and expectations that most teams. The front desk was aware of this. However, there is a significant distinction between being aware of something in philosophy and actually living it. Clark had a fantastic rookie season in 2024, leading the league with 19, averaging 2 points each game. Please leave a remark, subscribe, and turn on all alerts, so you don't miss anything. Once you click the video on the screen, we'll see you in the next one.